to look at the book of Jude. And then we're going to look at verse 6 through 7. Let's look at Jude 1:6. Jude 1:6. We believe in that. Why? And the angels which kept not their first estate. See that? They left heaven, but left their own habitation. Well, that's very clear. They left heaven. He hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. Okay, so notice right here that at verse 6, sons of God, or the angels right here, they left heaven. Why? They did something that sent them to hell, whatever that is. They did something. What is it that they did? How we fill in the gap is verse 7. It's sexual perversion, intermingling, marriage with animals. Look at verse 7. Where did you get that from? Where did you get that from? Okay. First of all, verse 6 talked about the angels, right? Now look at verse 7. What does this, the first two words, it just showed up right there, first two words. What? Even as. So, verse 7 is showing right here that in like manner, even as, following the same example. So verse 6 and verse 7 shows that they're copying each other. See, the angels left heaven, they did something what verse 7 did. What? Intermingled with animals. Keep reading. So the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, what happened? In verse 7, in like manner, in the following manner, what did they do? Following the example of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities about them, in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication, and going after what? Strange flesh. There's your answer right there, strange flesh. That proves that they intermingled with animals. It says strange flesh, right? What does strange mean? You can look up in an English dictionary. By the way, you can even look up the Greek word for this one as well. You know what strange means? Different. Other. Oh, that's strange. Why? Because it's different to you. It shows different flesh, 1 Corinthians 15. It's different flesh. Because what is flesh? What is normal flesh? It's humans, right? A different flesh would be referring to animals. Oh, well, I don't know. And 1 Corinthians 15, 1 Corinthians 15. See, it's a deep topic, I understand. So let's go through all the scriptures. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 39, verse 39. Flesh is flesh, and I don't think, no, there's different flesh. And it's not human, it's animal. All flesh is not the what? Can I hear that again? Same flesh, right? Yep. But there is one kind of flesh of man, another flesh of beasts, another of fishes, and another of birds. See that? You know what this is wicked. You know what these wicked angels were doing? They were going after, different flesh. It wasn't humans. They were going after different flesh, all these kind of different fleshes. Birds, beasts, creeping things. It's disgusting. Amen. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. So don't have intermingling with the beast. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is what? Confusion. See that? Leviticus 18, was that verse 23? That's strange. That's confusing. See that? The Bible even showed bestiality is confusing, strange. Strange, oh, that's strange, means that's confusing. All right, Genesis 6, verse 7. There's no doubt there was something going on with animals. You can't deny it. The sons of God had something to do with animals. There is no doubt about that. You might say, how do you know that, Pastor? Look at Genesis 6. And we'll read verse 7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth. Both man and what? Beast. And the what? Creeping thing. And the what? Isn't it interesting that those three kind of phrases were similarly used at 1 Corinthians 15 about different flesh, and he listed those things? Isn't that interesting? Anyways, keep reading. Why? For it what? Repenteth me that I have made them. Look at that. It didn't just make God repent for creating man. He repented for creating animals.
In my head without what I already did my video on, because what I'm seeing is there was no second incursion.
Genesis 6, the King James Version. And it came to pass, when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. This is the first incursion. But there were Nephilim after the flood. So many speculate there was a second incursion. We have other ideas about that.
Now, what does that mean? People want to know, why is it that in Genesis 6:4 it says that in those days there were Nephilim on the earth, and immediately afterward, so Moses was telling us that before and after the flood there were Nephilim, or these hybrids, where they are the offspring of humans and fallen angels. And I'm seeing in the wording with Nimrod that he became a mighty man on the earth. And we already talked about in Genesis 4:26 about how became or began, it's the same word, it's halal, C-H-A-L-A-L. They mean the same things, and it means to pierce. And it doesn't just mean become or became, it means to pierce, like you're having sex. We see the same phrasing in Genesis 6:4, where you have the Nephilim come into the daughters of men, and they produce these giants, these Nephilim, these men of old, men of renown. In some translations, it's these mighty men of old. And it's the exact same word in Hebrew. So it's the same word, defiling, or to pierce, which is representative of sex, and it's specifically about Nephilim in Genesis 4:26. And then we see the mighty man phrasing in Genesis 6:4, also dealing with Nephilim. We see that in Genesis 10:8 with Nimrod. And it has to be that Nimrod became a hybrid. He became a Nephilim.
Here you show Nimrod, the size of him. He's holding a lion with one arm. We all know the size of a lion. They're bigger than men. Okay, so he is a giant. He is a Nephilim. He is the one that defied God and built the Tower of Babel. And this is post-flood. So Nephilim did survive the flood. But how did they do it? We might have your answer.
And people want to know, where did these angels come from for him to become a giant? Why are there giants after the flood? Well, you have to remember, what didn't make it on the ark? All of the aquatic creatures, right? But the Bible tells us that all flesh became corrupted. So any hybrid that was aquatic, so like half man, half fish, like a mermaid, didn't make it on the ark, but they also weren't wiped out in the flood because they're aquatic. And I'm just seeing this over and over and over.
As for the punishment for the women, they became sirens. And as you read here in the book of Enoch, chapter 19, verse 1 through 2, we'll just skip down. It says number 2, and the women also of the angels who went astray shall become sirens.
The water has receded, but the memory of the people who live there remains, recorded in ancient paintings that cover the cave walls. Archaeologists believe these may be among the oldest mythic images ever made by man. Are they the projected dreams of early fishermen, imagining themselves with tails, swimming out to catch fish with spears and nets? Or are they something else? Early humans fought savagely over hunting and fishing grounds. Force was used against rival tribes and against any other competitive threat to a valuable food source. Could that be what these paintings depict? Could these paintings be a record of mankind's conflict with creatures that are now relegated to myth? Did we drive them into extinction? Or did we drive them into hiding?
We're with former NOAA biologist Dr. Paul Robertson and joined by Dr. Torsten Schmidt. He was the lead geologist on a submarine crew that recorded on March 6th of this year the astonishing footage we just watched, and I'd like to start out with some reactions. Dr. Paul Robertson.
I'd really like to see what's on that second camera.
I'm glad. I think we all do. Our viewers at home, too, would like to see that. We're going to show you that right now. Let's take a look.
Oh.
Dr. Robertson.
No, sorry. Can we play that back, please?
Can we get the footage of that back up there? Can we, in fact, why don't we take both cameras, first and second sync, and let's roll them together. Can we do that? Take a look again. Take a look at this. This is Greenland's response to what the Danish authorities shared with them. The government in Greenland issued a total ban on all new drilling, all new oil exploration, and this was just announced on March 27th of this year, 2013, and all of this in response to the footage that you and your team shared with the Danish authorities.
Yes, that's right.
Is the centaur, the horseman of legend, stories of horse humans. The centaur endured into Roman times, during which time there was a great scientific debate over whether the creatures indeed existed, much the way the existence of the Yeti is argued today, and the centaur has been present in storytelling ever since. Echidna is a half-woman, half-snake from Greek mythology, where she was known as the maid of the fearsome snake man Typhon, and mother of many of the most horrible monsters of all time. The first reference of Echidna is in the Greek mythology of Hesiod called Theogony, written probably around the turn of the 7th-8th century BC. Some scholars believe that stories of dragons in medieval Europe are in part based on Echidna. Harpy. In Greek and Roman stories, the harpy was described as a bird with the head of a woman. The earliest existing reference comes from Hesiod, and the poet Ovid described them as human vultures. In legend, they are known as the source of destructive winds. Even today, a woman may be known behind her back as a harpy if others find her annoying. and an alternative verb for nag is harp. A creature with the head and upper body of a human woman and the lower body and tail of a fish comes from a legend from ancient Assyria, in which the goddess Atargatis transformed herself into a mermaid out of shame for accidentally killing her human lover. Since then, mermaids have appeared in stories throughout all ages, and they are not always recognized as fictional. Christopher Columbus swore that he saw real-life mermaids on his voyage to the New World. There's an Irish and Scottish version of a mermaid, half seal, half woman, known as a selkie. Minotaur, in Greek stories, and later Roman, the Minotaur is a creature that is part bull, part man. Its name derives from the bull god, Minos, a major deity of the Minoan civilization of Crete, as well as a king who demanded sacrifices of Athenian youths to feed it. The Minotaur's most famous appearance is in the Greek story of Theseus, who fought the Minotaur in the heart of the labyrinth to rescue Ariadne. Satyr, another creature from Greek stories, is the satyr, a creature who is part goat, part man. Unlike many hybrid creatures of legend, the satyr, or the late Roman manifestation, the faun, is not dangerous, except perhaps to human women, as a creature hedonistically and raucously devoted to pleasure. Even today, to call someone a satyr is to imply they are impishly obsessed with physical pleasure. Sphinx. The Sphinx is a creature with the head of a human and the body and haunches of a lion and sometimes the wings of an eagle and tail of a snake. It is most commonly associated with ancient Egypt, due to the famous Sphinx monument that can be visited today at Giza, but the Sphinx was also a character in Greek storytelling. Wherever it appears, the Sphinx is a dangerous creature that challenges humans to answer questions, then devours them when they fail to answer correctly. The Sphinx figures prominently in the tragedy of Oedipus, who answered the riddle of the Sphinx correctly and suffered mightily because of it. In Greek stories, the Sphinx has the head of a woman. In Egyptian stories, the Sphinx is a man. A similar creature with the head of a man and body of a lion is also present in the mythology of Southeast Asia.
When you put it all together, you get a pretty good picture. From the Bible, through the Greeks, to the Romans, even the book of Enoch describes these beasts. The Bible is pretty clear, as we just showed, that the fallen angels created these beasts, these hybrids, and this is why God flooded the world. This is also why the land of Canaan had to be invaded by the Israelites with the strict orders from God that every man, woman, and child and animal be killed. Nothing was to be left alive. The land had to be purified. Everything was killed. But as many people have said, there was a second insurrection from another group of angels that caused this to happen in Canaanite. We believe that it was the mermaid siren that caused the second rise of the Nephilim, for they were not killed off by the flood, and they still had their half human, half angelical power. So, this is our theory.